Today I'm joined by Tony Jordan, who is our investment manager at IP Global. IP Global and Exclusive Links joined forces a couple of years ago to offer our clients a diversification into other markets outside Dubai, an opportunity into other projects and an investment model which Tony is going to explain to us in a bit more detail. So welcome Tony, and thank you for coming along today.
Thank you for the invitation.
So what I'd like you to do first is start off by giving some introduction into IP Global and the foundations and where it all started.
Okay, all started back in 2005 by our founder and CEO Tim Murphy. Tim was based out of Hong Kong, working in the insurance business. He was a seasoned investor into property. He was flying around the world trying to identify the best markets to invest in, equally to source mortgage finance and then to manage his assets and ultimately sell. And he found that he was running around the world equally trying to do his day job, and it just turned into a sort of job that was impossible to do. Equally his friends saw how successful he was, and that's how the light bulb moment came on and Tim thought.
One of those classic sort of, I liked it so much I bought it myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Stories. He left a very successful and profitable position within the insurance business and set up IP Global. And over the last sort of 8-9 years, we've developed into a global business. This year we'll transact somewhere in the region of $500 million US in property transactions, and we're opening in new markets all the time around the world.
Can you explain a little bit more about the model that IP Global works with? I know it differs slightly to how we operate as a real estate brokerage firm here in Dubai.
Yeah, I mean, our model, our business model, is our key USP really. It's an end-to-end client service. The majority of investors that we work with around the world are busy people and don't have the time like Tim didn't to fly into these locations and source investment property. So we start with identifying an asset, which is heavily researched, and due diligence goes into actually identifying a market before we actually drill down into an area, then an actual property. Once we've identified the area and an actual project, we then obviously do the transaction, which with our clients, all our properties, certainly in the UK, we use our underwrite model, which means that we will put our money in alongside our investors to secure that asset, which means our investors are buying slightly behind market price. That's how we make our money, because we don't charge a commission. And then obviously once we've done the transaction with the investor, a big part of our business is mortgage finance, leverage, the power of leverage to increase the ROI on the investment. And then obviously on handover, we have a property management company, which is our sister company, Complete Lettings and Management, that will do the snagging, take handover from the developer. They will find a tenant, they'll collect the rent, pay the bills, and send the return nominated.
So you offer a turnkey solution, ultimately an end-to-end service.
Client service.
And how do you address the resale issue for investors?
Yeah, well, obviously, depending on the client profile, whether they just have one property with us or they have several and they're building a portfolio. As you mentioned, while we join hands really and work together in the business, is that you obviously offer Dubai for real estate, and we offer international. And it's all about diversification, really. So when we've identified the cycle or the time frame that the investor is looking to hold the property, we look about maximising its returns. And then obviously we hand the after-sale over to our after-sales team, who will liquidate the asset for the investor.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned UK a couple of times. On the worldwide scale, what are the other destinations that you're offering?
Yeah, currently our biggest market is the UK. We are just venturing into Europe. We see green shoots of recovery now. We've just launched a new scheme in Berlin. We like the German market, very stable economy. We are looking at different parts of Europe at the moment. The US has been a big part of our business since 2011. We launched in Manhattan and done several projects in central Manhattan. And investors who got in early in 2011 are now seeing returns of between 40 and 50% on capital appreciation on their initial investment.
And what would you say is an ideal customer for IP Global?
Well, we generally deal, certainly in this region, with expats, people who like property. That's what we are, we're a property business, but we're here to make people money. And we have your average investor, an expat in Dubai, who saves some money up in the bank and is looking to make money out of that and likes property. But equally, we have seasoned investors who I'm working with in the business are to build a substantial property portfolio built across different markets globally. And as you said, the other market that we're in is Australia currently, and that's Brisbane and Melbourne as well.
Okay. I mean, they always say that a happy customer is a good customer, and certainly anybody that we've introduced the IP Global model to have always been impressed by the market research that goes in behind the investment before you actually bring it to the market and bring it to the customer. Can you explain a little bit more about that and the emergence of the developments?
Yeah, well, it's obviously, we're very thorough with our market research and due diligence that goes into a market. As I say, when we drill down into the US, let's take for example, Manhattan has its own real economy. We look at sort of the average wage per capita, we look at the GDP, we look at the employment rate, we look at the imbalance in supply and demand of property. Before we even actually look at finding a developer who we want to work with, and then actually identifying the asset itself. So there's probably years to 18 months worth of work goes in before I actually get a project to actually look into it, an area to actually sell to my investors. So it is a big cornerstone of our business, the research and the due diligence.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, I mean, obviously we're sitting in Dubai today, and we're both based here, but obviously we're offering destinations overseas. Let's talk a little bit about local support. Mortgages being available for our investors in those local markets, you can assist with that also?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, we have two sister companies that we work with. That's obviously as part of our end-to-end service. The first being Complete Finance, again owned by Tim Murphy, and that offers mortgage finance, whether it be repayment mortgage or interest only, depending on the investor's criteria. We work with all the high street banks. We've got a great relationship with NatWest. We also work with private banks, and it's really about fitting the actual market, the product, the budget, the finance, the period of time, and then obviously the period of time they're looking to hold that asset before we liquidate and obviously, hopefully, make that investment.
I see it very much as an investment that needs to work on paper.
Absolutely.
The figures need to add up. It needs to give the returns that the customer is looking for. In terms of a client wanting to actually meet with an IP Global representative in the local market or overseas, you're also able to assist with that, whether it be yourself as our investment manager or somebody locally on the ground?
Yes, absolutely. We have offices in all our locations, whether it be the Complete Finance side, the management, or IP Global. As I say, we're growing at a very quick rate. We've just opened offices in Johannesburg and Cape Town this year. Paul Preston, Director of Middle East Africa, is now taking on Europe and the UK. We're looking to open up in Geneva, Madrid. We've got an office which opened up just off Oxford Circus in London. So if an investor wanted to fly in, he probably would not have a lot to see. As I say,
it's mainly off plan, is it?
It's mainly off plan, between a year and a 2 years build cycle. And again, that fits with our model. It's low capital in at the start, maybe 10 or 15% of the total value, and then you get the strong capital appreciation through the build time before you actually have to take the mortgage out and put the final payment down.
I think what everybody likes to hear is a good success story. Can you share some of the statistics, I guess, some of those success stories where it has worked for investors?
Yeah, well, like I say, the majority of the stuff we've done so far in the US has been ready property, which means a tenant can be found straight away. But the yields in Manhattan at the moment are pretty low, like any prime location worldwide. But we try and get the rental yield to somehow contribute towards the finance payments. And equally, most of our markets are about capital appreciation. And in Manhattan currently, all the schemes we sold from 2011, as I say, are between 40 and 50% return on the capital that was employed there.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, I think that's covered all of the points. Very much for coming along today and sharing the story of IP Global. If anybody is interested in learning more about this product, then you can contact either myself or our International Client Manager, Craig Williamson. Alternatively, you can find all the details on our website, and certainly look forward to hearing from you. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you very much.